Subscribe, please.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I am back with the next part of Frank Chadwick's Thunder in the East. I gotta say, I've been having a blast with this game. Really well done, really good components, really enjoying it thus far. Make sure if you haven't watched my previous videos, you go ahead and watch those, because again, we're going to just pick right up where we left off, which we finished with the first German turn. They had completed their advance, their Blitzkrieg, and they had busted some holes in the line. Not my best work. Of course, I'm not a strategy genius, and some people were talking in the comments about different strategies I could try. Please feel free to keep laying them out. I'll try the strategies the best that I can, but like I said, I'm pretty much moving counters and rolling dice. I did leave one marker here. We had one previous error when I was eliminating a 8-4 army unit that was over there. As you guys can see, I'll grab this one up. An 8-4 army unit does have 3 steps. You can tell by the 3 dots in the upper right. So once it got reduced down to that stripe side, that stripe means the counter's coming off the board when it's eliminated. But this one was replaced with something else. I did forget to put that on the board, so I went ahead and put that there. So we got that one taken care of. And there was one other thing that I wanted to run by you guys. This one I'm a little iffy as how it's exactly working. And it has to do with the motorized units, which are these here. Let me grab one right there. The ones that have the white movement. And what it is the Russian units have this special rule. I think it's under 15.0 in the rule book about them. When the motorized units are disbanded, they're taken off the board and put to the side. And then you're taking one of the 8-4 army units and putting it into the force pool. And on the map, it's saying something about them being eliminated, but I'm not sure if I'm 100% right on that, on what's getting replaced where. So you guys just put it down in the comments. Let me know if I am making a mistake as far as that's concerned. Is there something else that's supposed to be coming on the board to replace these guys? Or am I good just taking the 8-4 army units that's above the Russian map and then putting it down there? I'll take and show you guys a little video of what I'm talking about so you guys can see, and then put it down in the comments for me. Okay, but like I said, we're going to take and just pick right back up. We're going to have the start of the Russian turn. They're still affected by a few things left over from Blitzkrieg, one of which I know they don't get to fly any air missions during this first turn. They're not going to be able to do that until the following turn. I think there's something with line of communication and supply as well. Let me check that real quick. Yep, that's right. So the German units are going to ignore enemy zones of control for purposes of lines of communication for this first Russian turn. So that's something else we have to keep in mind when we're doing our little walkthrough here. All right, so let's get started with the Russian turn and see what we have. It's going to start with their logistics phase. They don't have any isolated HQs. All right, mark opponents' unsupplied and isolated units. I don't think the Germans are going to have any because, again, they don't have to take and worry about zones of control. And from what I can see, there's no one who's going to be isolated because we can trace up there and trace there, trace there. So all of the German units should be good to go at this point. So we'll push on from that. Remove yellow rule. We don't have to worry about that one. Again, if you guys haven't seen my previous ones, I'll touch on it again. I'm not worrying about the campaign or the optional rules, which are brown and yellow respectively. So just keep that in mind as we're going through. Repair and recovery. Repair one of your countdown markers. They don't have any countdown markers yet, but they will next turn because I'm getting ready to do some stuff. We don't have any aircraft to worry about for the Russians just yet because they haven't flown any, so they don't have to worry about recovering any of them. Units and cards come and go as follows. Okay, so they already have their event cards to start with. The game that already listed down in your scenario booklet what the Russians are going to start with, just like it listed down what the Germans were going to start with. Perform withdrawals. That's axis. All right, place reinforcements as instructed. Okay, so here we are on our reinforcements. And again, you can buy reinforcements. There is a chart here that shows down the cost. And it tells you in your scenario booklet, depending if you're doing campaign or what you're doing, how many resource points that you have to spend. Now, the Russians actually start with a fair amount. I think they start with like 127 personnel points, 40-some fuel, 30-some equipment. They have a bunch of points to spend, and I was thinking I want more of these HQs on the board. They have 3 in their force pool, and I wanted to get them all out as quick as possible, but I can't because of the limitations, all right? Keep in mind that there is a limit on how much you can spend, which is 10%, I think rounded up or down. Which one is it? Does it say here? Yeah, rounded up is what you're allowed to spend of each one of your different points, okay? So with me looking at, where is it? Okay, my army headquarters, all right, which are our big round counters, it's 2, 2, and 2 with a 3 countdown marker to get one of these onto the board. So that means if I wanted to get all 3 of them on the board, I'd have to spend 6 in each. So the amount of points that I had to spend, I think it was 13 personnel points, 4 equipment and 5 fuel, or 5 equipment and 4 fuel. It's one of the 2. But regardless, I only had enough points to get 2 of the HQs on. So what I decided to do was to take and get the 2 HQs. All right, I'm going to put those onto the board because supply is key. I mean, you guys know it, just like any other war game, you've got to keep supply. And right now, the Russians only have 2 supply HQs onto the board. So I kind of figured I could get these guys onto the board, maybe a little back, one up here to the north, one over here, and kind of cover this gap so all the Russian units can stay within supply. And then I've got a stack of just other units just to try to get a mess load onto the board to help kind of steamroll the Germans, or give them something to steamroll rather. So there's more zones of control. There's more units just barring their access. And then depending on, how the next couple of turns play out, we'll see if I need to focus more on rebuilding units, upgrading units, or just replacing units. What's going to be the best strategy for the Russians, I think, they're not, that strong compared to the Germans. The Germans have a lot better individual units, but the Russians have a lot more. That's why I'm kind of thinking the Russian strategy should be to have more counters on the board, like whatever I can do to get more counters on the board versus trying to beef up the ones that I've already got. Because you guys saw how some of the stronger ones were steamrolled anyway. So if I focus on just taking and beefing up individual counters, I'm worried that there won't be enough on the board to hold them back from making an end run on Moscow. So that's my thought. You guys let me know in the comments what you think, if I'm on point or not. Let's see, where do I want to put these guys? Now, these have to come out onto a city hex. They have to be in communication. I think they can be in an enemy zone of control as long as it's in a city hex that's not like with a enemy unit in it. So let's grab our countdown markers. Here we go. Got my little bowl with them. Let's find some 3s in here. So the other side of the 2. Nope, that's a 1. So the 4s. I need a couple of these. All right, so just keep that in mind, that you're going to take and put these on, and these are going to keep track of how many turns until these things are viable. So they're not going to be viable right as soon as they're on the board. They're setting up, they're gearing up, setting up their stuff and all that other crap. Kind of simulates that. So what I'm thinking is that I don't want to place them so far forward because, say I take and push them way up here to try to cover all my Russian units right there on the line. Well, the German units are probably going to take these areas well before that 3 countdown even comes into effect. So these things would get pushed back, give the Germans a bonus. Plus, I think when these things take and get taken out by an enemy unit, they get put back onto the board, but they get put back onto the board with, I think it's a 4 countdown at that point. So you really don't want to let your enemy take it because it's even an extra turn that you have to wait before they're viable. So I'm thinking it's going to be better for me to have them farther back, and by the time the Germans actually get to it, then they're going to be hitting where they're viable and covering the Russian units. So we're going to try that. We're going to see if my strategy is bad or not. It's really just going to depend on how well the dice gods do for them. So I want one that's kind of up over here, and I want one kind of in the center, so these two can kind of back up and cover their sectors. Let's see if they come around. Tell you what, well, maybe they can leapfrog. Let's take and pan the camera up just a little bit. We'll zoom in. All right. If I go right about here with this one, and I've got the marker on it, that way, if this one gets taken out or moved, as the Russian units are backing off, this will still be putting out some coverage. So we'll do the same thing over here somewhere. Let's see. I want it kind of in between these two, but back off the line a little bit, maybe here. There's a city there as well, but I'm kind of thinking the Germans might get up there in 3 turns. So let's go here with it. So we'll put that one there. Make sure we're putting down our 3. Okay, so that's where we're going to go with our 2 HQs. Now, we also have our units to place out, and they have the same type of restriction. They need to be placed out in a city hex, has to be in line of communication, and I think that's it, not in enemy areas. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, so it can be in an enemy zone of control, but it has to be in a city hex, in communication, and only 1 unit per city hex per order of battle step. Now, the cities don't count, and I'm planning on moving these guys up. So let's take and just start filling in and it has to be in their home territory, which pretty much everything back over here is the Soviet Union's home territory. We've got a objective city there, so we'll drop one there. That, I'm going to say not. I don't want to put a unit there anyway because it's so packed in. I'm trying to get them as close as I can so they can help out, but it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of options. Has to be within stack limit. Okay, so I put one there, I could drop one on some of these cities where these guys are, because that would be within the stacking limit. And I could move them up as well. So we'll drop one here. And if it is an untried unit, which all of these are, the ones that have the question mark, then they do have to have the untried side up. So you don't know what it is when you're placing it down. So we'll place another one there. Place another one. We need some coverage up over here. We're kind of just putting them out wherever we can at this point. Let's see. There's a city there. We'll put one there. And we'll put one here. If I can get it down. Come on, right there. Is there another city there? Yeah, there's a city. Oh, no, I already put one there. I'm going to put these a little farther back then. Here and here. Put it right there on that one on the HQ. Okay, so we got units spread all across the board. That'll work for us. Again, I'm sure there's someone down there in the comments or watching the video right now going, please, no, put them here. It's a better idea. Consolidate your forces, do whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just putting a whole bunch of roadblocks on the board so the Germans can't just make a beeline. They're going to have to kind of steer around the bad guys and see what they can do. So, let's see. Now, I'm hoping my math was spot on with how much I could spend, but if it wasn't perfect, it was close, at least. Elite time, we're not on that. HQ mode. Okay, so we are determining our HQ modes. And the thing is these Russian HQs, they're weaker than the German ones. Their just normal range is a 6, and their attack mode is a 4. So I'm not going to switch these guys into attack mode, because if I do, they're not going to be covering some of their units. Like this one over here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's not going to be able to get to some of these units. They would become unsupplied at that point, and I really don't want that to happen. So we're going to take and leave those guys where they are for now into their balanced side, because the Russians are pretty much doing a defensive battle. They're going to conduct attacks, but they're only wanting to take and conduct the attacks that they are sure that they're going to have a better chance of actually winning. Okay, so we're down to our special movement phase. And again, you guys remember this one. It's part of what I really like about this game and the fact that certain units can move better than other units during this specific phase of the game. And your black numbered units, all right? So your infantry corps and armies can't move during the special movement phase if they're in an enemy zone of control, and can only move up to half their movement allowance if they're not. So a lot of these units aren't going to be able to move. I don't think I've got many motorized units. Motorized units can take and move during up to their full movement allowance. Those are the ones that have the white numbers. They can move up to their full movement allowance. And yellow numbers, what is it with yellow numbers? I can't remember that off the top of my head. I don't know. We're not. Is it yellow is half? Yellow is something. I can't remember. Yellow is the cavalry. They have a special movement as well. I'll look it up and put it down in the comments during the video, or put it down on the screen during the video. So let's think about what we're going to do as far as our movement is concerned here. I need to try to, well, none of these guys on the line are going to move. They can't. The motorized ones can, but they're going to be moving into a zone of control, which means they could only move one. Like this guy could only move one. And I might actually take and move him just that one hex, because he can move into an enemy zone of control, but he's going to stop there. But at least that way he's got less on top of him than he does right here. So that's better for him. And it gets him out of being isolated because he can have a line of communication here. So you guys let me know. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, that he can move there, but he's stopping because he's in an enemy zone of control. This guy could also move on the line, but I don't think I'm going to have him move. He's on the line, so I want to keep him there. And do I want this one to move away from this guy? Let's see. I know I'm kind of wanting to build a buffer zone here to where they've got to smash into it to get by. So I'm kind of thinking if I pull him back one here, that makes it to where if this unit moves up to attack, then he's going to have more enemy units surrounding him. So we're going to go with that. I need to definitely mark units that I've already moved so I keep track of it and I don't accidentally move something more than once. So let's take and mark that one there. And we'll mark this one here. And now everything else will be back off the line. Now the infantry can take and move up to half their movement allowance. So this guy could move up to 2 hexes. We'll take and move him up as well. 1, 2. Oh, I did have a motorized unit there, so we'll take and... Oh, I do apologize. I saw that one. We'll flip him back over. Don't worry, my memory's shit, so I'll forget. We're going to move him up as well. Create a barrier. 1, 2. All right, so we're getting it to where there's more units here that they're going to have to try to smash their way across. We'll bring this guy up as well. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll have him end there. I'm kind of wanting to create a second line back over here that they, have to smash their way into, but with a little bit of reinforcement behind it. I don't want to pull this guy off because he's got an improved position. This guy started here, so we'll move him up. 1, 2. Wait, nope. It's going to cost me 2 movement points to move into that set of woods, so he'll stop there. This guy's in a zone of control. He can't move, but we'll pull this one up. Oop, army units. That way, if the attack comes here and these guys are moving up, they will be able to ignore, the infantry zone of control. But at least this way, my panzer units, or the German panzer units rather, will have some more Soviet units next to them to kind of smash down onto them. Fill that gap up a little bit. We'll bring this one up a couple of hexes. 1, 2. We'll bring this guy over. 1, 2. And this one is on an objective city, so I'm going to leave him there. He can't move. We'll bring this one up. 1 across. That one's an improved position, so he's going to stay there. And I'll tell you what, that's most of the units that are up here into the actual combat itself. So I'm going to take and do the rest of them off camera real quick, the ones that are back farther away that you guys can't see, and we'll come back to it here in just a second. Okay, I got the rest of them kind of moved around where I want them, where I think they might hold out the best. Most of the stuff back there off screen where you guys can't see is units that are on objective or victory hexes anyway, so most of those aren't going to be moving, so I'm not too worried about it. But we got the rest of them in relatively crappy positions that are probably going to get their asses handed to them, but we'll just see how it goes. I did forget one thing, the Soviet free defense, the improved position when we were doing our order of battle steps, so we'll take and throw that on there real quick. Now, I'm trying to think of where I want to put that. I want it to be somewhere where I can hold a unit and make the Germans push through it, and somewhere that they really need to go. Because I've got improved positions here and here and here, you know, along some of these victory hexes where some of these HQs are. That way, I mean, the Germans could technically just shoot right by them and not even worry about it, but at least it's kind of a defensive line spaced out across the board. Tell you what, I might go with this one here, because if I do that, then the center lane has it to where there's units kind of spaced out. If they try to make a push straight for Moscow, then bam, they've got improved positions. You know, something to where make them think a little twice before heading that way. All right, we are done with our special movement step. We don't have to worry about this bottom part, and now we are on to our combat phase. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut this video here and probably just make this one be a shorter one and have the next one focus on the entire combat phase, just because there is so much going on with it. I want to take and have that video be one in and of itself, but do remember we're going to have to take and issue all of our attacks first, and then take and go from there. And the thing is the way I understand this, you guys let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong, but I have to declare the attacks before I know the strength of these units. So these untried units, say I wanted to conduct an attack here, I would have to declare that as an attack and then flip that unit to determine. So I don't get to know what these question mark units are before I try to commit them to some of these offensives. That's going to be interesting to see how that's going to turn out. But yeah, that should take care of this video. We'll take and, like I said, start the next one with just our attack declarations, which I'm just not seeing a whole lot. And the thing is, in the rulebook, it says the Soviets do fight a defensive war, of course, but they need to declare attacks. They need to attack to slow down the enemy. They can't just put counters there in front. So I need to make good decisions on where to attack to slow them down, because they're going to make progress. It's just how much can I halt their progress as they're going on, because you can tell from their numbers, they don't have good numbers. One of the better attacks I can see here is just a 2-to-1. You know, this 8-4 against this 2-4-3 German unit down over here. But so many of the others, I mean, the Soviets would be at a disadvantage. This would be a 1-to-3 attack, you know, over here. All these others are untried, so it's not looking good for them. It looks like the best they can hope for is maybe a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 attack, so I'm probably going to have to make use of those when I can, just try to, thin out the German ranks just a little bit as they're pushing on. All right, but yeah, we're going to cut this one here, and we will pick up with part 5 with the Soviet attacks, and we'll see how that pans out for them. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.